I gotta try to peel this, and this stuff is a pain in the ass. I really don't like working with this. This is the biggest pain in the butt to try to peel. It really is. It is a pain in the butt. I can't express that enough. It doesn't want to, it just doesn't want to peel. It depends upon the weather and how it feels. As you can see what I mean. It just chips. It's very hard to work with. See what I mean? It doesn't just peel. Now this is probably a little older than it wants to be, but it's under a year old, so it should be okay. I mean, and it's comfortable in here, and this is warm because I had it sitting on top of the stove over there. So I'm going to say this has got to be at least 75 degrees because it's 68 in here, and where this was sitting is a lot hotter than that. This is just a pain in the ass. I don't even know if I want to continue finishing this up or not. I mean, really. You just can't get a run on it. You know, it's almost something that you'd want to take and just cut it out with, you know, the whole thing, cut it right through, and then glue it on. It doesn't want to just peel. And when I get to the letters, I have no idea what's going to happen at this point. Yeah. See what I'm doing is I'm trying to get under it and just loosen it up that way. I don't want to put anything on the picker as far as any solvents to make it slide a little easier, because I don't want to contaminate the glue. I could probably use a little water with suds in it. That'll probably work. Now I'm coming to a letter, so let's see what happens. Oh yeah, sure. Break everywhere, but don't break where the letter is. It tears where it wants, but where it's got a cut, it doesn't want to tear. Why am I even using this stuff? Why am I torturing myself? Really, this is such a pain in the ass. Like I say, it doesn't want to just peel. And then when it does start to do any type of following along, a little peeling, it won't take the break or the cut. It wants to take the cut with it, which means it's going to take the letter with it. And that's what I'm trying to avoid. That's why I put it in the cutter. I'm probably out of your guys' sight right now. I'm sorry if I am. I just can't fit all this into the frame. You see how this is working? This is terrible. I think from now on I'll cut right through it. The paper and everything. And just take and glue it I shouldn't be doing this either, but I'm going to try it. This has a little bit of suds in it. It's basically just water. And it's got maybe a teaspoon of dish detergent. You want to watch what detergents you use for certain things. I had a comment the other night on one of the channels, on one of the videos that I did when I was cleaning my guns using a bucket of hot water and soap. And I've gotten this comment a few times. Apparently, you know, and I do the same thing, so I can't blame the person. You know, not reading the other comments that other people may have asked, because I had that question a couple of times about does it ruin the firearm? Does it ruin the gun? You know, what about the action or the springs? And you know, well, it can. You know, that's all there is to it. I always recommend do it the way you've been doing it. That's the way I do it. And I don't do it that way all the time. I only do it that way if I got, you know, a lot of firearms I got to do. But most of the time, rather, I do it like everybody else. I may use different cleaning material, but for the most part, yeah. No, I clean like everybody else. But if I have, you know, 5, 6, 7 firearms, I'm just going to throw them in a bucket of hot water with soap. And his question was, does it ruin the springs or does it rust? Well, I'm going to tell you, it can, and you have to pay attention. But if you look at it, I mean, you know, the military use these things all the time, and they're not cleaning them, but they're getting wet, rolled in mud, everything else, but they do clean them. And I'm sure they don't use soap and water to clean them, but a lot of it is the soap. If you use a soap that's any type of that has any type of chemical in it that's going to cause a electrolysis to the metal, then it's going to start to rust because it'll start to eat the metal up. Like, for instance, salt water and your boat. You got to put zincs on it. The salt water will eat the crap out of your boat. So you want to give it something soft to attack. So you put zincs on it so that it'll go to the zincs and start eating up on the zinc instead of eating up on your boat. If not, it'll start eating all the crap in your boat. So zincs are important because of the electrolysis in the water and things. So you have to pay attention to these things. You know, and I'm not going to get into all the chemical bullshit, but you know, if you're going to do it, make sure that you use a very mild dish detergent. All right. I wouldn't use soap, clothes detergent. I think that's going to be a little bit too hard. That may have a little bit harsher chemical in it. We don't know if they're putting lime in it or not. But and then you want to make sure that you dry it off and dry it out. You know, I have a pretty good compressor over here. It's not a big commercial compressor, but it's not one of those little airbrush compressors either. And I know when I put the air on that, then I'm blowing everything out, so I don't have to worry about it too much. And then I put a little bit of oil on it, and then I blow the oil right through it. So, you know, it kind of helps. You know, a lubricant of sort, a protectant. But no, it can. You know, if you just put it in there and take it out and shake it and wipe it down and don't blow it out or anything, I'm sure it's going to start to destroy your weapon after a while. But that's kind of what I'm talking about here with electrolysis and stuff. You know, soaps have stuff in them that can contaminate a lot of this, so I want to make sure that I don't use anything when I'm doing this that's going to eat away at the glues. A little sudsy water is not too bad with a little dish detergent. And I said, not a lot of detergent, otherwise it'll leave a coating. And then this lettering won't want to stick to whatever it is you're putting it on. And if it does, it'll probably come off next time it rains. Man, this is a pain in the ass. I gotta sit down. I didn't expect this to take this long. I mean, it's working, but God, it's a pain. This material sucks. You know what got me into doing this stuff? First of all, it's not hard. Well, I don't think it's hard anyway. You need the equipment, however, but I don't think it's hard. When I had my communication shop years ago, I had this guy that used to do signs for me. And he also used to do things for me because I used to have in my shop, I did all kinds of things, not just sell radios and repair radios and scanners and stereos and whatever, sunroofs. I had a detailed type sandblaster that was pressure fed, and it had a brush on the end, so if I wanted to do something I can just brush over what I want to brush. And the brush was like a vacuum brush, you know, a vacuum cleaner with a hole in the middle and the brush around the edge, and you sandblast it and it keeps it within that brush area and sucks it up at the same time so that you're not blasting everything around you. And I used to do a lot of windows on cars. Instead of using the acid touch tone stuff, you know, where you paint it on and peel it off and, you know, there it is, it's cloudy looking. A lot of guys used to like the little bit of 3D effect you were able to get out of the sandblasting because you're actually cutting into the glass. And so I used to have this sign guy make my templates out of vinyl. You know, in other words, he would be doing this, I would paste it on the vinyl and the opposite on the product. I don't have a problem with that. I think if I work at it, I'll get it okay. But boy, when vinyl sticks on vinyl, it's tough. And now that I got this crap stuck on it, so it got to be. He got to be, let's put it that way, he got to be a little expensive. And I'm sorry he did, but in a way I'm glad he did, because he was a nice guy. I didn't want to take business from him. But at the same token, I mean, there's only so far that I can go up on my jobs and stay in business. And he was getting to a point to where he wasn't understanding that, and he isn't since then out of business, by the way. But I said, you know what, I'm going to buy a vinyl machine. I'm going to start doing it myself. So I did. I bought a little tabletop. I mean, it was just like a plotter. It was square. Well, it didn't have the roll, and it would just cut like this, you know, within a certain distance. So if I needed it bigger, I'd have to keep placing pieces in. But it was working fine for me. I would do Brothers Harley Davidson would send guys to me that wanted their mirrors on their motorcycles sandblasted with a little bit of a name or a picture of some sort on it. You know, stuff like that. I also used to do alarms on Harley Davidsons for Brothers as well. Brothers is a large Harley Davidson dealer in the area. Nice guy, Bobby. But meanwhile, that's where I actually got started into it a little bit. And then I didn't plan on getting into sign making. And then when I got rid of the store, You know, and then the next thing you know, we had a boat, and I'm going, and I had a van, an all-wheel drive Ford van that I used to have some advertisement on for my firearms, and I had it on the back hard cover of the back tire on the van. The back tire, the spare, had a hard cover on it with a chrome ring to hold the cover on. Well, that had some advertising on it from the company I bought the van from, and you know, well, this is going to be perfect for me to have my firearm advertising on it, and I don't have to put it all over the van. So I took it to a shop that did the lettering for one of my boats, which is here in Brantford. And the guy's a nice guy, really is. You know, I still talk to him. You know, I haven't seen him in a while, but he's a nice guy. And he's even given me a few pointers, you know, I mean, so, you know, but we're not competition to one another. So, you know, and first of all, I don't do it that much. He's really into it big time. I just don't do it that much. I may have an old customer come to me and say, listen, can you do my registration numbers for the boat, you know, or I want to put something small on a magnet or something. I still do some of it. But I went to him one day, and I needed some work done, and I just needed the vinyl cut, because I'm going to put it on. And I also gave him that hard cover off the back tire of my van, the spare tire cover. And I had told him, this is what I want on it, you know, blah, blah, firearm training, phone number. So he said, okay. He says, give him a couple of days. Okay, well, I can understand that. I don't expect you to push me ahead of your big jobs because, you know, you got to make money. You know, I try to be fair. I've been in business. I know what it's like. And I don't want to be that pain in the ass customer that I used to have to deal with. So, a couple of days go by, and I didn't walk. I drove over, and asked him, how's it going? He says, well, I'm almost done with your sign for the van. He says, the lettering on your boat, that's only going to take a few minutes, so I can get to that pretty soon. I said, okay. He goes, so if you want, come back in a couple hours, because I'll be getting ready to put that in and cutting it. Great. I go back after lunch, and he had the lettering done for the boat, you know, the name. And back then, the name of the boat that I was doing in was called Harley Davidson, because I used to have a Harley at the time. And this was called, well, actually I had a couple of them, but this was called Harley Davidson. You know, this is hardly a Harley Davidson. My daughter actually thought of that, and I said, you know what, I like that, you know, so I used it. And so anyway, I go over there, I pick up that, and while I'm picking that up, the woman or the girl that he had working on the cover comes out and says, well, we're just about ready to do that cover. She says, I got it all cleaned off. I said, oh, all right. So, you know, if you want to come back, it'll be ready in a couple hours. Because doing the vinyl part is actually easy once you get it set and cut. And you got good vinyl and you're not picking it apart like this. Because this is a pain in the ass. And this piece, I'm not even going to bother trying to get it off. I'm just going to cut it and leave it like that. So he charges me back then. Now I'm going back. Maybe 90. Well, when did I buy that boat? That was a 27 footer. That was basically the first boat that I bought with my second wife. Because I remember her telling me, if you want a boat, you're going to pay for it with what you got out of pocket. We're not going into the budget for that. And I had, I don't know, $10,000 in my pocket at the time. He wanted $9,000 for the boat. I offered him $75,000. He turned it down. I ended up getting it. Well, I got it for $9,000. He got what he wanted out of it. However, I also got the slip It was a documinium, so I got the slip to go with it. And I had to pay for that, but I only paid $1,000 for it, and they were worth a whole lot more. But I said, what are you going to do with the slip? You know, I mean, you can't do anything with it. You haven't got a boat. You haven't bought a boat? No, we're getting out of boating. Well, then you're going to have a slip sitting there that you're paying taxes on. So, you know, I mean, think about it as being good business. And I left, pulling the boat. I also got the trailer with it, tandem trailer. That was worth $3,000. And away I went. Well, I got home and my phone's ringing. It was him. He says, all right, you got the slip. It's yours. So I got the slip with it as well. So it was all right. I didn't get a super deal, but I got a good deal. Because he was the original owner on the boat. It was well kept. Ran well. Had no problems with it. So anyway, that's how that worked out. But, meanwhile, sorry about that. He charged me back then, it was 75 bucks, I think it was. I don't keep track of these things. Unless it's a really weird price that blows my mind, you know, then I'll remember that for life. But if it's all within reason, I don't think about it. And I leave with the lettering, and I'm going to go put it on my boat, which I did. And then I went back. Well, when I go back to get this wheel cover that they were going to put some printing on for me, which basically said Connecticut State Pistol Permit Classes and certifications. Call now and a phone number. So that was it. Now it wasn't a lot because it's sitting on the back of this tire cover, and I didn't want it all jumbled. You want a sign to be able to be read fast and get to the point. You don't want it so fancy that people are paying attention to it, but yet they can't read it because the fonts are too fancy. You don't want a billboard to where it's going to take them forever to read it. You want to get to the point, let them see it, let it hit them in the face, and it's done. So this sign thing wasn't nothing great, nothing fancy. So meanwhile, I go to pick it up. He gives me a price. Now, remember, I just had Harley Davidson done in like 9-inch letters with a shadow. So that's 2 pieces of vinyl. You put it on as one, but it was 2 pieces of vinyl. Well, you can put it on as 2. But meanwhile, he gives me a price of 200. The first price was 275 bucks. He gave me a couple prices. And I look at him. And I says, what? He goes, well, it was 100 and something. I forgot what the hell it was. $175 on labor just to clean off the old lettering. I says, wait a minute. Don't you think about this where you say, what would it cost this guy or me as the sign doer to buy a new wheel cover? Just the fiberglass piece. The frame and everything's there. You just got to buy the insert. Before I spend $175 of the man's money on cleaning off an old one. I says, plus, you know, you should have called me to let me know what it's going to cost you, because you should have an idea what it was going to cost me. I says, you know, it's not that, it's a lot of money for just, for what it is, if you compare it to other things. You know, and after he started thinking about it, he realized that, hello, you know, maybe I should have thought about that. Yeah, I mean, come on, because me, I would have thought about it. If you brought that into me and said, I want to do this, now I turn it over to one of my people and I said, give me an idea of what this is going to take time-wise so I can give this guy some type of an estimate, you know, if need be, because if it feels like it's going to be too much, I'll give an estimate. Yeah. And then, you know, okay, it's going to cost you, well, let me call and see what it's going to cost if we buy a new one. Now, I understand it's your time that you're taking up, and time is money, but it's also good business. And I just do not make quite as much on an item today and make it over time and have a good reputation as being good business than a reputation of being stupid, overpriced, good workmanship, but bad business standards. This is actually coming along pretty good now. That water that I sprayed on, believe it or not, is kind of following the paper. So I just want to make sure I spelt everything right after I go through all this. Yeah, but so I finally, after all that, to get out of that, I finally decided, you know what, I'm going to buy another vinyl cutter. Not so much to go in business, but when I need something done, I have it there. I'll do it myself. Now, most of you guys that have been watching me, I would assume that you kind of know that, and a lot of you are the same way. If we can do it ourselves, let's just do it ourselves and get it over with. Stop relying and depending on other people. Because if you don't find other people that are going to be honest, you know, you're just going to be a continued mark in their book. And you're going to be getting continuously ripped off. And that's not going to happen. So again, you know, you spend a few bucks, you could do it yourself. So I started looking. And then the more I started looking, the more I started thinking about it. Oh, wait a minute. If I'm going to start spending thousands of dollars, because my first buy was in the tens of thousands of dollars. Because I decided to go nuts. I said, I might as well just buy it right. And this here way, after a little bit of experimenting, I can start making signs. And that's what I did. And that's how I got into it. Because I wasn't going to start paying this guy big bucks and have to wait for something when I want to get it done. Now, he wasn't in too much control of that, naturally, because he's in business. So I'm not the only one there. And again, I can understand that. But if you're going to start, if you're going to start a business, be prepared to hire on more people when it gets to the point to where you're going to start losing business because you're not getting enough of it done in time. You know, if your expenses and things are starting to get out of hand, well then slow down on your expenses. Don't go up on your prices. You know, if you find that you're losing money because you're not getting things done fast enough, well then bring people in so you can get it done. You know, the woman that was doing the sign part there was also going out and putting the lettering on the boat. Well, why don't you have an inside crew and an outside crew? Yeah, I mean, if you're that busy, which he was, you know, if I have to wait that long for something, you know, you're busy. Like I say, he's a good guy. He's doing okay. He's still in business. He's not out of business. Where is he? No, he's still in business. The original guy in West Haven, he's out of business. So, but yeah, it's one of these things you have to think about it, and you have to be able to change with the times. You have to think on your feet. You have to know what to do. You just can't play the business thing one way and one way and one way and never change it. Because times change, you have to change with them. Or get out of business. All right, I got through that. God. All right. Let me get this off here, because that's going to be a nightmare. I don't want that to get caught. That I don't care about. That's far enough away. Now, there's a strong possibility that what I just did was the easy part. Hold on a minute. I gotta make a cup of coffee. So meanwhile, we're talking a lot of wind and rain tonight. I'm hoping that we don't get that much. They've already put out a thing to watch out for falling trees and power lines, power outages. I've already started my generator up last week, so I shouldn't have a problem with it.
Number 6 Business Park Drive, Stony Creek, urgent care.
We got my neighbor, nice person. She really is a nice person, but she's also one of those people that knows it all, doesn't take anything, no matter what you say. If you want to give her a little advice, she's going to find a reason why, or have her own reason that you know isn't going to work. She bought a generator like mine. Now mine runs the whole house and the shop. Now it's not an auto start, you know, in other words, when you lose power, it automatically goes on to natural gas and all that, which the one that I have, I can do that with if I wanted to. But for the most part, it's easier for me just to come out, hit the button, start it up, and plug it in. Now the other ones do have a little feature on them, which is nice. I think it's once a week. A friend of mine has one, and I think it's once a week. He says it starts up and runs for like 10 minutes, which is a good idea. It saves me from going out there and starting mine up, you know, because that's what I have to do. I have to go out and start mine up because it doesn't want to start up automatically, which is not a big deal. I mean, I just go out there, open up the gas cock and pull the choke and start it up. Now, if I forget to do that right off the bat, you know, in other words, if I don't start mine up after 4 or 5 months, oh, and I always keep the gas fresh. Yeah, I always make sure I got fresh gas. And I keep booster around, octane booster if I need it. But if I don't start it up, like I say, at least once a month, it will get a little tough to where it just wants to turn over and it doesn't want to get the fuel. So I'll take a can of ether out there with me. And I don't even have to spray it into the carburetor. I just got to get near the carburetor. You know, with the air filter and all, I don't take any of that off. Don't have to do any of that. Just have to get it in there a little bit and she fires right up. So anyway, where I'm going here is the neighbor, again, as nice as she is, and she now lives alone. So I don't go over there and keep an eye on her. She's younger than I am, because I don't want people to start getting the wrong impression, you know, of me going over there. Hey, how are you? How's things going? You know, just to bullshit with her or anything, because she's a person that you can do that with. Oh, here we are. But one day she sees me in the yard starting my generator, and she says, "Oh, I got to do that with mine someday." Oh yeah, because another thing you got to do is the battery in these generators. I wasn't aware of it, and in mine anyway. and hers, so she's got the exact same one. I said the battery in these things do not charge when the generator's running. I said, so the charger that comes with it, which is a little transformer type charger that plugs in to the side, I says, you got to make sure that you put that in there and you have it on, and it would be a good idea to have it on a timer so that it'll kick on at least once a week for 10 minutes or so, so you don't have to worry about it. Because, well, if the power is going to go out, she says, I'll charge it. Well, wait a minute. If the power's out, how are you going to charge it? Because you got to plug the charger into power. You know? I mean, so this is the reasoning that she comes up with. Well, don't you think, I think it was last year or the year before, power went out, hers won't start. She finally goes and, what the hell did she do? I forgot what she did. She didn't take the battery out, because that's a nightmare. That's a nightmare. I forgot what she did. Oh, she didn't use it. She just forgot about it. When the power came back on, about 5-6 hours later, she decided to plug in the charger. And the next day, I'm out here in the yard, in the shop, doing what I gotta do. And I hear her over there, and I hear the thing going, yeah, it's not starting. Well, now she, oh, why isn't it starting? Well, hello, you haven't started in how long? We don't know if the carburetor's gummed up, if the the gas is dead, it might be stale. You don't know, especially with this new gas. It doesn't last like the old stuff. You got to put crap in it. That's all there is to it. Actually, West Marine sells something that do I have any more laying around here? Probably not. Oh, maybe. No. When I worked at West Marine, I don't remember the name of the product. Oh shit, I gotta remember it. They made an additive. One of them was an octane booster. It was about the size of a small maple syrup container that you use on your pancakes. So what is that? About yay tall, yay thin, smaller than a quart of oil. About half the size of a quart of oil. And that would treat 250 gallons of gas. So I used to use it on my boat all the time, because my boat ran great when I had higher octane in it. And when I put this stuff in it, instead of burning 22 gallons an hour, it would drop down to like 20 gallons an hour. Now 2 gallons an hour over 8 hours, we're talking 16 gallons. So, it's a lot. And the boat performed a lot better. So, that was good. And then they had a lead additive that you were able to add, which also was awesome. And I used to buy this stuff by the case, but not a case of each. I would buy a case of 24, 12 of each in it. Because what they would do is they would order a case of each, for the shelves. And then I would just take it and split it 50-50, and I would buy that case. Because it worked, and I used it all the time on the cars, on the boats, and the car. You put a shot glass full, in your 20-gallon tank. I mean, the whole thing, it's 16 ounces, I think it was. If it treated 250 gallons, what, Tech something? Anyway, if I see in the bottle, I'll remember it. I'll let you know. A cap full or a shot glass full in your tank, every couple fills, and you notice the difference. You really notice the difference. It's just like when you put mystery oil in your gas. You got a 20-gallon tank, you know, you put 4 ounces or so of mystery oil in there with it, you know, before you fill it, so it mixes up in your gas. After a few miles, you're going to start feeling a little bit of difference. I use mystery oil in our tanks. Alright, so we got that much done. So now I have to get something to put it on. I'm hoping when I go to peel this off, it's going to work a lot easier than it did before. Let me go get something. I'll be right back. I think I'm still recording here, am I? Yeah, okay. Alright, this is magnetic material. This is a piece that I have. I have 2 pieces like this cut, and I have another piece which is 2 feet by 1 foot, and it's been pre-cut, so it's got rounded corners. But this is, I mean, it'll fit, but it's too close. I mean, I'm like a 1/4 inch from the top and a 1/4 inch from the bottom, and I don't care for that. I like to have at least 2 inches all the way around. I mean, I can move this over here to get my inches there, but I'm not getting the top and bottom. I don't know. Now I do have a roll of this magnetic stuff. Let's see. Let me put this. Well, actually, when I get time ready to do that, we'll go over there to do it because it's easier. Let me see here. Hold on, guys. I'm looking for, I think I found it. How much of this red do I have? Actually, I got quite a bit of red. What's this one I have over here? Oh, I'm sorry, guys. I know I'm talking to myself. Now there's a 24-inch roll. This is magnetic. It's heavy magnetic material, like magnetic sign stuff. Now I think, I'm not positive, but I think this is that reflective red. This is not reflective. That's reflective. It would be nice to have reflective red as well. I'm wondering if I just want to put some reflective vinyl on this. I have this in white as well, but I was looking to see which one I had most of, because if I'm going to put a cover on it, it really doesn't make a difference. I have more of this that I do the red, white, and I use the white more. So this is probably what I'm going to use. And if this is reflective, which I think it is, maybe I'll just do that. Hold on a minute here, guys. Let me, where the hell's my switch? See how I get turned around? I came out here to do some testing, and the next thing you know, I'm doing this. Hold on, I gotta turn off some of these lights. So I can see if that's reflective or not. There's still too much light coming in. Let's see. No, that's not going to help tell me. Hold on. Yeah, that is reflective. Okay. Okay. So let there be light. Wanted to feed the fire a little bit. 69 in here, not bad. Alright, let's go over to the other side because I want to cut some of this. And then I want to cut that. And then we're going to put that on this. And then I'll put that on that. And we'll do it that way. So let's go over there. Oops. I got some radios charging up over here. Put you guys up here. There you go. You see some of it, I guess. Move this over. This was the best thing, one of the best things I came up with because it's so damn handy. I got a good set of casters on it. It's all angled bracket. It's got a hard top on it with a 1/2-inch horse mat on top of that. And it rolls. Because of the casters, or a good set of casters, it rolls real easy. Regardless of how much weight I have on it. Which is nice. Okay, so I'm going to take it to about here. There. Okay, now I'll trim it all off later. For now, let's give it a little squirt, clean it a little bit. Most of the time vinyl sticks to this real easy and you're not going to get it off. But when it hangs around for a while, you don't want any oils that may be floating around or chemicals that may have gotten on it to slow you down. There. Okay, so that takes care of that. Now, I'm going to leave this out because I will be using that again in a minute. And I'm hoping that this reflective material doesn't work. Well, this isn't number 3, so this shouldn't be as hard to strip. What makes this one a little bit harder is because I'm doing a full piece, as you can see. Now, this stuff is expensive, so this reflective material actually costs me more than that magnetic material. So I want to make sure that I don't overuse it, but I want to give myself enough. So where's that magnetic? Right there. Okay, so if I put this right about there, I want to cut it off right about down here. Okay. So let me now just then I cut this way into the roll because I didn't want to cut the magnetic material behind it. Coffee's good. I don't know if I can drink it all the time, but I like it. I think it's called 1850 or 1851. They have a medium roast and a dark roast. That's the medium roast. It just got such a rich roasted flavor to it. Again, though, I don't know if I can drink it all the time. Alright, now we have to get this peeled off of this and stuck onto this. I really don't know if I want to use transfer paper or not. I guess that would be the safest way. Well, I guess, let's see. If I had two people, I would do it without the transfer paper, seeing that I haven't got two people. I mean, my wife is home, she's inside, but today's Sunday, I don't want her out here working, I want her to relax. Now, I'm not worried about these air bubbles right now, especially on this piece. Normally I would, but not on this. I'm not going to concern myself with it. I just want to be tripping on anything. Alright, so we're going to cut this on the side just like I did the vinyl. Because I don't want to cut the paper. I just want to cut the transfer. There. This may be alright, who knows. Well, that ain't gonna get too happy. I'm not happy with that. There we go, okay. I mean, I'm gonna put, well, you'll see what I'm gonna do. So a few wrinkles are not gonna bother me because they're not gonna be there. But I don't wanna have to create more work for myself. There. Okay, I can deal with that. Whoop. Oh, that blade is sharp. Now, let me take this and put an edge on it because otherwise it'll be a pain in the ass trying to peel it later, because it will do just what it did now, and I don't normally have time or patience to deal with it. Come on. Yeah, you can find this stuff, everything that I'm using here, including the printer, or the cutter. I took this a little bit to the extreme, but normally it won't be that big. Including the cutter and things, because I don't care for them as a business, a good business practice, but as far as having everything you need, as long as you know what you need, they're good to deal with. And that's Sign Warehouse. They're somewhere in the middle of the state, of the country. Okay, let me get the, what you call it, off the table for a minute. There. But meanwhile, Sign Warehouse, they've got good deals. They really do. And it doesn't cost you a lot to get into a halfway decent start. For instance, that cutter that's over there, that 19, it's an R19 they call it. These wrinkles I'm not really concerned about, because this is just going to be a piece of a transfer paper. But for instance, that cutter over there, the vinyl cutter, with a bunch of sample stuff that's usable. It's not just sample shit that you can't use. Everything they give you that comes with it will be more than enough for you to figure out, one, how to use it, and possibly even make a few bucks with it. Now, I paid $275 for that cutter. That's with the software and everything. Now, again, it's not the best software in the world, but I have no problems with it. I've earned lots of money on it. Does everything I need it to do. The only thing it won't do for me is if I had a large format printer, it wouldn't drive it. It doesn't have the large format printer drivers in it. So that would be a little bit of a problem. So I'd have to get another one, another set of software. And that can cost you a few bucks. But if you just want to get into doing some vinyl sign work or vinyl work on your own, instead of buying this crap on UBC or whatever those channels are on TV, you know, these hobby stuff, you can buy something like this, which is a little bit more of a commercial grade. You know, it's beyond hobby, but under a high-end commercial. $275, and they give you, like I say, enough to where you can actually do things and learn and everything at the same time, because it's really easy. I mean, the program is like any other drawing program, you know, that you may use. It's as easy as the editing programs that we use on the videos. So you talk $300, we'll say, and you're almost on the way. You know, you may spend another, I don't know, maybe another $50, $75 for little things like, you know, the felt squeegee, a harder squeegee, you know, this one here, which is stiffer, a brush, you know, a couple of picks, so you can pick a couple of those little utility knives, the X-Acto knives with blades, you know, and then you may spend another, depending on how nuts you go, you don't have to go crazy to get started, but if you just want to have more fun stuff, you know, for you to do for yourself in the beginning, a roll of vinyl, some cheap vinyl, something that'll last a couple of years outside, it'll last longer inside, but anything that'll last a couple of years, you could probably get a 12-yard roll by 15-inch for $20-25. So if you bought 4 or 5 colors, you know, and then you need some transfer. I like the clear transfer paper. They make another one that's kind of a smoky white, a milky white. You can somewhat see through it, but it tears a lot easier, and I particularly don't care for it that much. I will use it on certain things, but most of the time I use the transparent transfer paper. And then you know, so I'm thinking, you know, for instance, $500, and you can probably get yourself the cutter, the program, and enough vinyl, including the vinyl and magnetic sign stuff they give you, to learn it and do some things for yourself and get started and get an idea what it's all about. Yeah. I mean, 500 is 500, but on the other side of the coin, it's possible that it can make you some money. And no matter how many sign shops are in the neighborhood, there's always room for another one someplace. Especially if you're going to let them put it on, because a lot of people want to just buy it and put it on, and a lot of shops won't just sell it, you know, already done and you put it on yourself. They want to earn putting it on as well. That's sticky. That is going to be ready to put on over there. Now I can do this one or two ways. I can spray on there or I can spray on here. And because I'm using a large piece and I want to make sure I get a lot of the bubbles out, I am going to spray more water than I would normally use. It will dry and it will stick, but again, I want to make sure. And I want to mist. I don't want to spray. There we go. I'm just going to spray it on here. This is not just water. This is water with like a teaspoon of dish detergent. Now they sell stuff that you can use this, but you know, why buy it when you can make it a whole lot cheaper? Whole lot cheaper. Let me find a home for this real quick. Okay. Now room is important. The room is important. It's important. You want to make sure you have room. That's all there is to it. Now I don't remember if I had it this way or the other way. The man said. Go to the shortest piece. 23, so it's about 22. Okay, but 24. So which way do I have this one? Doesn't make a difference, so I want to make sure. 24. 24, okay. Actually, I'm going to put a little bit on here too. You'll see why. Alright, now let's take this and put this right here. Now, let's do it this way. Okay. See how slick that is? I may have put too much. We will see. This isn't all going to get, see, it's already starting to stick. Okay. This isn't all going to get done today anyway. Now, why I have all that water under there is because I want to make sure that when I do this, I don't care about the bubbles in the transfer paper. I'm looking at the vinyl underneath. Hear that? That's air coming out. And if I didn't have that water under there, it wouldn't be coming out like that. I'd be poking it and pushing on it. Next thing you know, I'd be wrecking it. And I'm not causing any damage to the vinyl because I'm working on top of that transfer paper. Now there is a little right there. I don't know if that's underneath this or that. I thought I wiped this down. But it's not going to be that noticeable. So I'm not going to worry about it. And you always want to make sure your edges are done. It's like anything else, even when you're painting. Make sure your edges are done. You got a bad edge, you got a bad job. Because it's all going to come apart on you. Now, I've been using the hard squeegee because I'm using it over that transfer paper, so I don't have to worry about it too much. But once I take the transfer paper off and I start working with the actual vinyl, I don't want to use the hard squeegee, so I'm going to use the felt squeegee because I don't want to scratch the vinyl. And I'll tell you what, you can even scratch it with this. So, just take it easy. And if there's a bubble that you can't get out, stick it with this, and then use your felt sticker and squeegee and try to work it out. Because it's got air under there. All you gotta do is get the air out and you should be okay. And sometimes if there's a lot of little bubbles, the sun will take them right out because it'll shrink. So... Alright, so let me put this over here for now. That's the magnetic piece. I don't want to pick that up just yet, or peel it just yet, because, where did I do the towel? Here it is. Let's wipe all this off. I don't want to start to peel it because I don't know exactly how well it's stuck, and I don't want the vinyl to start lifting when I pull the transfer paper off, because then I'll end up with a mess, and rushing it sometimes only makes more of a mess, as well as cost you money for the material because you're going to ruin it. So I'm going to take this magnetic piece and I'm going to put it over here for a minute so it'll dry. I'm not looking to get it too hot here, so I'm not loading it up. I'm just keeping it going. You probably didn't even hear me. But like I said, I wasn't loading it up to fire. I threw another log on there. It's comfortable in here. If I put too many in it, it'll just start getting too hot. So I figure I'll just feed it every now and then, and we'll be all set. Here's a little drawer of crap I keep that I use. You really don't need this, but I use it. I use that. I have another one with a cork back on it so it doesn't slide around. This sometimes I'll use. That's more or less for sheetrocking, but I do use it. And then I have some felts. Here's another little brush. I have never used this one. That's just a CD. Doesn't worth anything. Extra cutting blades. Extra cutting blades for the cutter, extra utility knives, more cutting blades for the cutter, you know. But this is all stuff that's in here. These are nice. They're like a razor, but they don't scratch anything. Here's a little cheap squeegee, but that's really not too much. I just keep it around just in case. Then I have another one over here. Where is it? Here it is. I don't use it so much here for this anymore. But this is a straight edge, which is a measure, and it slides out so I can do extra lengths with the measuring. You know, so now I know what I got. This is 40 inches, so if I add another 12 by pulling it out to 12, I got 52 inches or whatever I needed to do. Slide it in. It's got the flat side on here so you can snap it down if you're not. It's got the rubber back so it doesn't move around on you. If you want to cut, it gives you a place to hold and protects your fingers. So if you're cutting, this is a nice little piece. Is it something you really need? No. It's nice to have though, because you're going to need a straight edge or a level or something to cut with. So, you know, there's cheaper ones. I don't remember what that one cost me. That was probably a few bucks. And when I say a few bucks, I'm probably thinking that probably cost me maybe 30 bucks, 35. So, but if you guys are thinking of, anybody out there is thinking of getting a vinyl cutter, don't bother buying anything off of that QVC or that Home Shopping Network stuff or Amazon and things like that. Call Sign Warehouse. Now, I'm not pushing them because, to be honest with you, their support sucks. Now, when you buy off of them, they'll be fine. But if you 6 months down the line and you really haven't bought anything and you have a support question, they kind of like turn their back on you a little bit. Or, we can't talk to you, we have to do it via email. You know, that type of thing. So they're not the greatest in support unless you're feeding them all the time, because they're trying to sell you a support package. But other than that, when it comes to buying things, they're pretty good. They really are. Now, there's another one out there called Grimco. Like the Grimco. They're nationwide. They're pretty good. They're not quite as cheap on the equipment as Sign Warehouse, but their vinyls, you know, all their media and things are all about the same. Yeah, they're all the same listings. So, all right, let me put some of this stuff back. So let me put the magnetic material back here. Let me put the reflective material up here. That's where it's supposed to start with. Now that 50/50 vinyl that I bought that from Grimco. Now a Sign Warehouse, well, it's nice to have a company, but they don't check it. Now I'm not going to tell you to lie, you know, but you know, if you want to make up a name, you know, they're not going to know one way or another. And you know, you just, you know, if they ask for a tax number or something, I want to pay my taxes. When I order it, I want to pay taxes, you know, and don't worry about it. Grimco, they're a little bit different. They're not going to just let you in quite that easy, but they're okay. If you talk to them and you're honest with them, you know, with either of them, but Grimco especially, you know, listen, I'm thinking about starting up a business. Haven't really picked out a name yet, but I just want to get some equipment in to see what's going on, to see if I even want to take it any further. Yeah, be honest with them, you know, and they're pretty good. You know, they're not quite as bad as Sign Warehouse when it comes to being honest. You got, yeah, Sign Warehouse is a bit of a problem, but I would still buy from them, you know, because some of their shit's got good prices and they got good deals going. I just wouldn't want to deal with them on tech support level. Now, when I first bought my stuff from Sign Warehouse, when I first went nuts and spent lots of money, I had a large format printer that printed outside ink as well, EcoSolvent inks. It was a 60-inch printer. They do sell larger format printers, but not all of them print that'll go outside. So you got to make sure it's going to print outside ink, EcoSolvent inks of sort. The printer, I bought that big cutter, the big one that's over there. It used to be under there. The program alone cost me $3,500. And I don't know how many or thousands I spent for vinyl. I mean, I still have vinyl today that I bought back then that I won't use on a customer, or I won't use even for myself unless I'm just making a template or something, because you know, something 10 years old is just not going to last, you know. So I don't push it. But like I say, they were my best friend then. No matter what it was, they'd have people on the phone and they're ready to fly them out. I mean, that's the way they are. You stop spending money for a year. So, all right, let me go check that over there. Hold on. I just wanted to put this over there where it's a little hotter. Oh yeah, it's hotter alright. Let that cool down a minute. Because if I try to do it now, the glue itself may lift just as bad as it did if it was wet, because the glue may be a little tacky. Now you always want to pull tight down. Don't pull up. You guys see what I'm doing? Pull back. Keep this edge sharp. The sharper it is, the better it'll be for you. Yeah, I should have waited a little bit longer. Nah, let's just get this one off and we'll worry about it. Keep this edge sharp. Like I say, you don't want to pull up on it. You always want to pull back on it. There. Now those little bubbles and little wrinkles that you're seeing right now, those will come out. This one may not so much over here, but because it's still warm, when it shrinks it'll probably be okay. And if I find I gotta rub a little harder on the vinyl, even though I'm using this, you may want to just put a little spurts on it, just to have a little extra water on the outside. It's not going to bother anything. Alright, that's not going to be too bad. I know once that gets in the sun, everything will be fine. Yeah. Alright, let's see if I can get the rest of this off. Come on. Be nice. Alright, I don't want to pay too much on one spot. It doesn't want to come up there. Let's find another spot for it to come up at. Let me get my little pricker tipper here. And I don't mind damaging a corner a little bit because I got to cut it anyway. Again, pull back. Keep your end sharp. Now, can you see the difference? See how much smoother this side is than this one? Because I didn't wait. I rushed it a little bit. Now there's a couple of good points here that I don't really care about. One is this line in the middle. You're not going to notice that. But you can see, if I waited just a little bit longer, a minute, even a minute longer, that little wrinkle, and I think you can see that right there, that little wrinkle right there would probably not be there. Because as you can see, as I was pulling it, it was cooling down, and it started getting better. So, but again, that little wrinkle there, it may just disappear in the sun as this starts to cool and heat and shrink. But I'm not using all this anyway. So a lot of that's going to be cut. Because this is going to go on there. So what do I need? You follow? Now I'm going to try to salvage some of this in case I need some of this reflective material. So I'm going to take it up here and maybe over here a little bit. This way when I cut it, I'll have some leftover. So if I wanted to cut it into 1-inch strips and use it like inside a door, when you open the door, if the lights hit it, it'll reflect. There's always something you can use it on. So now I don't want to use the one that I just showed you, the big one with the, because it's too wide. This one, it's too wide. So for instance, if I wanted to cut it, go here with it, right under the lettering, and I cut it here. It's good, but I really don't want all that much space. You know, that's probably 2.5 inches or so. I like to see about 2 inches. So I got to see what I have. What is this anyway? Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 2 5/8. Okay, so it's about a 1/2 inch too big. Now the only reason why I'm trying to figure this out now is so I know what I'm doing later. Now another thing I want to do is I want to figure out where I'm at with that. So let me get this. Let me get my marker, my pencil. Somewhere around here I got a black pencil. I used to have a black pencil. There it is. This stuff does not like to come off. Now what I'm going to do is measure from the end of the letter to the end of the letter. I'm not going to measure this. I am going to measure the letters. A lot of guys will measure this because they know what their spacing is. I just take it right to the letter. And make sure you go from the outer letter, like the Y. I don't want to measure from the bottom E to the bottom of the Y because it's going to be shorter. Right? If I want it centered, I want it centered from the largest part. So I'm going to go from the top of the E to the top of the Y, which is 15 inches. So half of that would be what? 7.5. So I'm going to go to 7.5. I'm just going to put a little mark. 7.5. There. And then I'm going to do the same thing here. From the outer part of the letter to the outer part of the letter. And I've got, well, just a hair under 13. So let me see, if I want to take that 6.5, I guess I can get away with 6.5. So let's go right about here. Okay. Now this pencil's a nice marker. This is made for this stuff. However, it's hard to get off if you put it on something that you don't want it on later. So that's kind of where we're at there. So now I got to do something about the same. So when I lay this down, this is going to line up. So for instance, let's just cheat. Let's do it this lazy way. I'm going to take it from here. I keep hearing. Oh, it's raining out. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to take it from here. Again, I'm going to cheat, because we can always cut it straight, so I'm not worried about that too much. From there. Okay, so now let me get my marker again. And I'm going to move this down about here. Now this is just doing it the lazy way by eye. I'm going to put a mark right there. Just a white mark, so I have a mark. So now I know if I put that mark on that mark that I'm going to be centered once I cut off the sides to what I need. Now if this was already cut to what I needed, again I know that would be the center because I would measure the center. But I'm going off center, so I don't care. I'm just looking for a mark right now to give me something to indicate straightness. And then we're going to do another one right about here. There, okay. Alright. Now I may have gone through all this for nothing, because the next step is now taking this paper off of the transfer paper, and the transfer paper needs to keep the lettering on it. So I want to lift this up, and I want to make sure the lettering comes off with it. See right there, it's not coming off right there. A little bit of heat from the finger may help. Nope, let me get my little, there it is. I'm going to have to just lift it up a little bit. There we go. Just to help it along. Take your time. Now you're not going to be able to pull this back as sharp when you're taking it off the transfer paper, but you do want to pull it back. You don't want to pull it up. And this is where you need to get a little bit ingenious and either make something so that you can handle this by yourself with one hand, or something that'll hold it so you can use both hands, or have two people. Now again, this isn't going to fall perfect, so let's put a little squirt here so I can move this around like I did the other. And then I want it so it kind of bends in the middle. I'm going to take this mark that I put on this paper and put it on that mark that I have on that. And then I'm going to rub this on here. It's always a good idea to check your spelling before you do any of this, because you don't know how many times I've done this and I've reversed two letters and then never even noticed it. Now again, because I'm working on a piece of transfer paper that's strong, I don't mind if I do this, because I'm not going to score or mark the vinyl lettering. I want to make sure though that I stay on the transfer paper, because I don't want to mark the back side. Now if I was doing this on a $1 million boat, you don't want to accidentally go oops and now leave a scuff mark, because then you're going to sit there buffing the whole boat out, or paying somebody $1,500, $1,800 or better to buff the boat out for you. Because if you buff out that part of the boat, it's going to look different from the rest of the boat. I know a team of two brothers. I don't think they do it anymore, but they used to do it. They just started getting a little too old. They're tired of doing it, I don't know. But for instance, if they were to do a boat my size, the size that we had, I don't have a boat anymore, for them to come out and wash it, buff it, and then wax it, you know, basically detail it, outside only, you know, in the helm area, around all that area, but anything that's not down in the cabin, they wanted $3,200. So you take a boat that's, we'll say 70, 80 foot, they can very easily get $8,000 to $10,000 to do that boat, depending on how much detail is on the boat. Because there's a lot of detail on a boat that you don't notice it until you start washing it and waxing it. Okay, so there we are. Ta-da! Now before I lift this off, I'm going to cut this. So now I got to decide where or what I'm going to use to cut that with, so that I can keep it nice and even. And I don't really want to, you know what, I bet I could now. Wait a minute, maybe I can. Because if I go from the lettering, now that it's permanently down there, if I go from the lettering right there, do I have enough over here? Let's see. No, see, I haven't got enough over here. Well, maybe I do. I may just make it. Should I try it? Well, I can always cut it down if I have to. I mean, I'm going smaller. I want to go smaller anyway, so if I got to go smaller, I'm not going to lose by much. It's not like I'm trying to go bigger. Alright, so now I'm going to hold this down. And I'm going to just follow this straight edge, and hopefully I get everything cut nice and clean. I should have checked my blade first to make sure I had a good blade. Alright, now there we go. Now also, now what I can do too is I can cut this part straight, and then I'll have one strip about, what's that, about 2 feet, 20 inches? It's about, I'm thinking about 20 inches, let's see. No, it's 2 feet, okay. I'll have a 2 foot by 1 inch, because it's crooked here, as you can see. I know I can get a good straight 1 inch. I'll have a 2 foot by 1 inch stripe that I can cut in half, and I can have 2 1 foot by 1 inch stripes to use, because that's reflective material. And it's on a magnetic backing. Follow me? Follow me? So we got the bottom cut. So I wanted to go a little bit smaller because I thought it would just look more uniform. So now let's do the top. I'm going to do the top the same way. I'm going to put this down here. And why it's got the rubber back is it's going to help prevent slippage. So I still need to hold it. But, whoop. Did you guys see that? It went right off track on me. That's another thing. You want to make sure that whatever it is you're cutting on. Because if you're cutting on like a piece of plywood and the blade catches one of the grooves, it's going to follow that. Now this is no good to me at all, so I'm going to throw this away. So you want to make sure whatever it is you're cutting on is not going to take the blade away from you. They do have a self-healing cutting sheet. It's about I don't know, maybe 3/16 thick. It's marked out in inches, which you don't really. I never use the inches because they wear off very quick. But it's a self-healing sheet, which is nice. Or I find that this works, but you got to watch out which one of these you buy, because I got one over there that won't work. Alright, so now we're going to do the same thing kind of here. The thing is, I have to make sure that I keep the edge straight. So I want to make sure that I have a straight edge to start with. So this is where I'll take this thing to make sure that we're on the money here. The money. Let me bring it over to here. Now I gotta get this to make sure that I'm on the money. There's 2 things I gotta use here. I could measure, but again, we're not doing it that way right now. We're just doing it the lazy way. We're playing it by ear and looking by eye. There. Okay, so that's where we're gonna want to put it. On the outer edge. I really don't like cutting in, I rather cut out, because if there's a problem, I know where we're at. I'm just going to put this right on top of that to help hold it, that's all. And we're straight there, okay. And let's cut this. Whoop, stop following that. Stay with me. There. Now this could be cut up into little pieces as well. At least from here down. So I can get probably 1, 2, 3, at least 3 1 inch by 12 inch. And it looks like another 1 inch by, well, I can't take it any further than that because I got this little straggler right here. But I can use some of that. Okay, now this side is the one that I'm concerned about. Yeah, see, it's not going to work. Alright, can you see why? Probably not. You can't see? Yeah, you can see over there. The reflective material stops here. It doesn't stop there. So I can't use that. So I'm going to have to cut it the size of this. So let me get the straight edge on here. Put that there. And that will give me what I need. So I'm going to have to take this same cut and transfer it over to here. And you never want to cut on the inside, because if it does start tracking off, you're going to ruin the sign. If you're cutting on the outside and it tracks off, you can take care of that a lot easier. And the other thing is you want to keep your knife down a little bit. If you have it too pointy, the chances of it tracking off are going to be better. There, okay. This will not be used. That's scrap. Now I got to do that same thing over here because they're different now. So let me do this. Get it squared off. And take this off here. Now I should do the same thing with the top and bottom, because the top and the bottom are going to be about close to a 1/2 inch. And this one, well actually this could be used, that has reflective material on it, but I'll probably throw it away, that's too small. Okay. Now see, this down here and this up here are larger by a 1/2 inch than here to here. So I should really take it all off, because I want it to look right. I don't want it to be off, because you may or may not notice it. And you hate to say, oh shit, once it's up and you're using it and it doesn't look right. So I might as well just take it off now and get it over with. I don't like using this to cut with because there's no rubber back on it. But we got to do what we have to do. Yeah, I like the rubber back because it stops anything from slipping and sliding on me. Now this, I got to trim. See it right here? That's cut off. It's just in my way. Right there. Which I got to piece that now. Not a big deal. My blade is getting dull. I should just change it out, but no, why do I want to do that? Now here I don't have to worry about using the straight edge as much for, or the square rather, for this, because I'm lining up to the letters, so I know I'm going to be straight when I cut it. I'm going to kick myself in the ass if I make a mistake because I didn't change the blade. There. Now where's that? Here it is. Let me get this done. Right there. See that little piece right there? Right there. Now just want to get that right there. Okay. Done. Okay. Alright, now the next thing I'm going to want to do, and before I take this off, this transfer paper, is I want to round the corners, because the square corner is going to be easier to snag or catch. So I got to find something that I can use to round the corner off. One is, let's change the blade. If I can remember where the hell I put the blades. Well, let's throw this blade out, which I shouldn't have done that, but I just did. Here's a new blade. Okay, so now we do have a new blade. And I threw that blade in there, and I didn't put any tape on it, so I got to watch when I push my hand down there to push the trash down. Okay, I want to put something here around these corners a little bit. Now I don't have a corner cutter. They do make them. So I got to find something. I'll cut it with the razor knife, but I first have to find something that's going to be something that I want to use. You know what? This may work right here. There's a washer. Let's see. You know what? I think. Yeah, that should, let's see. You can always cut it bigger if I need to. Main thing is though, cut it and not move it. Come on, I know I cut you through. Well, not all the way apparently. There. Yeah. Okay. Don't look too bad. What do you think? Nice. Nicey without going crazy. Like I said, I don't want a big rounded corner, because the sign is not a rounded sign. I just want to prevent the corners from lifting. Again, I am not doing this in a way that I would do it if this was a paid job. This is all done by, well, 90% of it is just done by looking at it, you know, and measurements very little bit. They do make a cutter that has different ends on it. So you can have a square corner, a round corner. I think it gives you a wave corner. I forgot what it was. There was four different types of cuts on it. They were for inner and outer. So other than that, I'm supposed to be taking some tests. I got 3 of them started and never completed any of them. I started taking it last night in the house to finish one off, and the computer locked up. Now I don't know if it was the computer or there's just so many people on the line taking the test. I mean, it could be either or at that point. Okay, this, yeah, I guess I can still use that one. That one for sure. That one for sure. This one, I just got to straighten it out. So these two have to be straightened out. These two are ready. This one I have to cut up, and that one I have to cut. Alright. Yeah, so anyway, I'm supposed to be taking those tests. Put this back. Like I say, last night it was a weird night. I'm laying on the couch. The wife went to bed early. You know, I mean, she went to bed and then she kind of just stayed in bed and read a book. The boys are used to her going to bed at a certain time. And again, now I'm going to just pull this back, keeping it sharp. And I want to keep it back. I don't want to pull up. I want to pull back. And be ready with your little knife or your pointer. Because if a letter starts to stick to it, you're going to have to do some picking before you pull it off all the way. The fancier the letters, the harder it is. Okay. Now I used a lot of water on both of these because of the way I did it. And it's still, as you can see, everything stuck just fine. And those little wrinkles, they're already starting to disappear as we go along. So, now this whole thing will glow in the dark. Because it's all reflective material. And it's on a magnet, so it'll stick. So that's that. Let's see if I can make it. I don't have a light. They do have lighting that'll give you an indication as to how it would look at night. I don't think this is going to show it. Yeah, I don't think so. I mean, it sticks out, but I don't know if you can actually see it, you know, in its reflective state or not. But they do sell the light. I used to have one over my bench. It was like a fluorescent light. It was in a 2x2 square box, like, you know, a fluorescent 2x2 frame thing, and you hang it above, you know, 6-7 feet up, like on the ceiling. You put it on the ceiling, and if you wanted to check it, you turn it on, and you can kind of see how it's supposed to look. All right, so there we are, guys. Now, believe it or not, this is supposed to be pink. For emergency scene ahead sign, it's supposed to be pink. Yeah, that's it. Well, while I'm here, I might as well just cut these up and finish talking to you guys. Now, I think there's 2 of them that had to be trimmed. That's one of them. This is the other one. These 2 are okay just like they are. So those will go. I have a box around here. Wherever the hell that went. I did have a box around here. This one could be cut up quite a bit. And this one. Again, I save them. You really, you know, maybe I'm a pack rat and I'll never use them. But you know what? It doesn't hurt to have some reflective material laying around that you can use in a hurry if you need it. Now this one's a little off. So we're going to take that right from here. Now I want to make sure the top is straight. Because the top's straight, the rest of it will be straight. Hopefully. And hopefully my little wand here, or my straight edge, will grab onto it. There we go. Okay. That's another one. This one actually is okay except for this little edge. This may not be even worth doing, but let me just do it anyway. Let me turn it on this way. Actually, I know somebody that'll probably want these. I'll just give them to them. Whoops, stop that. Yeah, see, this isn't going to hold that. This one here may be a pain in the ass. So I may have to use the scissors on that one. That was too small. Okay, so now let's flip this one around this way. He was looking for something the other day that he can put on his bumpers. Now, when you're doing a rear vehicle, the back end of a vehicle, you want it so that legally they're supposed to be 6 inches. The stripes. And I'm just eyeing this again. Here we go with the eye. And me with the crooked eye. Not that my eye is crooked, just that I see this. And they're supposed to be at a 45. So if you notice a fire truck or an emergency vehicle, it's got the stripes on the back, they're going to be on a 45. And as a rule, they're going to be about 6 inches wide. But he wanted to put some 45-degree angle stripes on the back of his bumper. He's got a black bumper. He's got a pickup truck. and he was looking for something. You know what? He can probably just use these. Now they're not 6 inches wide, but he can still put these 6 inches apart and have some reflective material. Now, is it going to be ANSI compliant? No. Is it going to work? Yeah. I should have used the clamps to clamp this thing down so I could get a better cut here, because it's moving underneath. So some of these are going to have to be trimmed with the scissors. This one's going to have to be trimmed with the scissors. This one I don't have to worry about. This one here I can get enough bite on. See, that's why the back is like it, so you can hold, but yet if I want to put a clamp on it, I'll be able to clamp it down nice and nicey. Okay, let's see. Yeah, okay. This one's garbage. That's garbage. You know what? I'm going to call that one garbage too. I just got to cut this piece off here. Okay. And this one right here. Okay. Alright, so these are garbage. That's another thing. You always want to use as little waste as possible. And if you're going to waste big enough so that it's not waste. If that makes sense to you, you're in trouble. So, alright, so we got some stripes here. I'll give these to the guy if he wants to put them on his bumper. Like I say, if he goes like this on his bumper, tucks it around and around, and he runs them about 6 inches apart on a 45, you know, like I say, it's not going to be compliant, but anything is better than nothing when you're out there. I just got to find the box. Where the hell did I put that box? I don't believe this. Well, you know what? I'll leave them right there for now. Let's put this other crap away. Let's hang this up. I've got up a lot of your time already. Sorry, guys. Sorry, guys. Didn't mean to suck up your time. See, already this is all starting to fall in. You may or may not be able to see it from there, but I can see it. We got a little bit left up here in the corner, right there, and this little line right here, and that's a glue line. And I know I'll be able to get that out of there, so I'm not going to be concerned about it. So last night I was trying to take the test. First, the computer kept locking up on me, which was a pain in the ass. What do I have here? Tire, road signs, swim gym sizes. No, I already got all that done. So the wife goes to bed early, as I was telling you. She's in bed 8:30, 9 o'clock every night. And on the weekends, though, you know, she'll be on her tablet or reading a book, listening to the radio or whatever. You know, I'll go by the room and see if she wants anything, and she's sitting up reading or something with her little light going. She's on the tablet doing something. You know, and but she goes to bed, and then the boys all go to bed with her. And now, if they get there before me, which most of the time they do, I end up on the couch with a pillow and a blanket. Which I really don't care. I really don't. To be honest with you, sometimes the couch is more comfortable than the bed, especially if my back is bothering me. So, and Bear, will lay on his couch. Well, we call it his couch because he kind of adopted it as his. We had to buy him a new one, by the way. And I did a video on that. So we bought him a new couch. And so he kind of lays on his couch, spreads out like a diva. And he's a he. And then Nicky, he has a doggy bed that's about the size of the top of this table. Complete size. So I'm thinking probably 40 inches by 52 or so or bigger. He's got that in the corner between the two couches, the wife's and mine, because he likes to snuggle in over there. And Nicky every now and then will lay on the little dog bed just laying in front of the fireplace. Not Nicky, Lance. But for most part, Lance will lay in the bedroom on the floor. There's a doggy bed. They all have their doggy beds. They're all made of latex. And it's right next to the bed where the wife lies, so she can put her hand down and pet him if he wants to be petted. And he lays there. Tucker lays in bed. And Duffy, which is the big one, he can be either in the bed, and that gives me no chance of getting in, or he'll be on his bed on the opposite side, where normally I would lay. Well, last night, for some reason, Bear had a pouting thing going on. I don't know. He wants attention. So I got to sit there and I got to talk to him. You know, I'm holding a conversation with my dog. And he's sitting there, and he'll wink at me and back to me, depending on, I guess, what I may say or whatever. I mean, I really don't know. There's something that triggers it. And then he goes to sleep. Now, he will ask me to turn on the air conditioner. Now, we have central air. In the wintertime, it's the heat. But I also have a little air conditioner in the window over in the corner of the living room on the back side, so you can't see it from the street. So that if I want a little breeze, you know, or air up and above the central in that particular spot, I can turn it on. Well, you know, he's panting and he's looking at me, and he, you know, he's not licking his chops, so he doesn't want a treat. He wants me to turn on the air. So I had to turn on the fan portion of the air. Then he lays down and everything's fine. Well, that shuts off. Well, when that shuts off, I'm sleeping on the couch. I passed out. I'm into a deep sleep. Next thing I know, I hear, he wakes me up to let me know that the fan shut off. Anyway. Then he woke me up because he couldn't get past Nicky to go get a drink of water. And he knows all he has to do is walk up to Nicky and Nicky will move over. But no, he needs me to tell him, go ahead, go get a drink. It was just one of those nights last night to where I just couldn't sit. And then I finally get to where everybody's in bed. It's about 10:30, 11 o'clock now. Everybody's finally starting to wind down. I'm on YouTube and I'm falling asleep with the mouse in my hand. You know, watching an infomercial that I never watch, you know, and that's, I got to take this test. So I turn the test on. I get halfway through it, the computer locks up. So last night, it was just not one of those nights for me to take the damn test. So I was going to come out here today and do it, but when I come out here, I go into a different mode. So tonight, I'm going to put on the earphones so I can't hear anybody. And I'm going to do what I have to do. And instead of turning on the fan for Bear, another thing he likes is for me to go into the bathroom and get a hand towel, get it wet with warm water, wring it out, come out and wipe his ears and his forehead and his snout and wipe them down. You know, I gotta wipe him down with this damp rag. For what reason? I guess he feels better. And then Lance will look at me because now he wants his ears and head and nose wiped down. So I'm over there wiping him down. And the next thing I know, Nicky's going. So now I'm up for another 10 minutes wiping these guys down with a damp rag. You know, starting from the ears and the snout, and over the eyes, around the neck, up and down the back, and they're fine. I guess it cools them down. I don't know. So, but that's another thing I got involved with last night. So I may just do that ahead of time tonight and see what I can come up with. Anyway, guys, there you are. Ta-da! Now, what am I going to use this for? Well, I'm glad you asked. There's a few things that we do through the, like for instance, tomorrow night we have training. We're going to shut down a road, and we got a house that we got to go, and they're going to use. So they're going to have the inside team, the outside team, setup team, which is part of us, and then at that point the road's going to be shut down, and then we'll become traffic cops. Right? Because now that the road's shut down, we have to sit there and detour everybody. And then you'd be surprised what they come up with. Oh, I live down there. Well, if they live there, we can't inconvenience them, especially when it's only for training. So we ask for the address, and if we know what the address is before or after, we'll say, okay, you can go this way or you got to go around the other way. And then next thing you know, they're trying to drive through. We had one. Here, let me get a pencil. I got it. This is a picture. This is a show and tell. Let me get a piece of paper. We had one last year. We have a street here, a main road, and then we have another road coming into it here, and another main road here. There's an offspring here that takes you to another main road here. Well, we had a house right here that we were using for a training house. It's a condemned house, and there's all houses here. And over here, there's a flower shop. There's a luncheonette, breakfast and luncheonette thing here, and a little glass shop. So now we got the street blocked off. This is all blocked off. We have emergency vehicles here. We got all kinds of stuff there. But we have, because it's training, we have to make sure that we don't inconvenience anybody. That citizens come first. So the person in this house has to be able to get out or in, so she can go this way, he or she, as these can. This one can go this way. Everything in between is blocked. You can't get through. Well, the next thing you know, a woman comes up to us telling us she has to get out. And she's going ballistic on this. She's about 40 years old. So she has to go this way. Well, we had to move the ambulance and one of the apparatuses out of the way, including the barricade, so she can get out. You know what she does? She drives from here. Now from here to here is probably 150, 200 feet. Then you got the road, a normal 2-lane road. So what's that, another 30 feet? And then you got the little parking lot with the restaurant here, which is probably another 30 feet in from the road. She's going ballistic. It takes us 10 minutes to get all this stuff moved and put back and move this and move that, disconnect the hoses, right? Because she's going ballistic. Now if it was a normal fire situation, it'd be different, but it's training. So what happens? She pulls out of her driveway, pulls through here, goes across the street, parks and goes in to get something to eat. She could have walked over there in less than 2 minutes. The guy in the fire truck says, off to the side under his breath, he says to me, "That bitch wants to get back in. She's not going to do it." In other words, don't even think about bugging us because now you want to go back home. All right? Then he says the only place that bitch is going to end up is in the police department. Right? But this is the kind of people that you deal with out there. I'm telling you, you can't inconvenience them at all. And if it's an actual emergency, they don't care. They sit there and argue with you. Nothing counts but them. I'm serious. I can tell you stories. Someday I will. You know, I'll drop one every now and then. Meanwhile, I've ate up way too much of your time. Catch you later.